The world is a complex place shaped by power dynamics and the struggle for control. Throughout history, various forces have sought to dominate and influence others, leading to a continuous cycle of occupation, intervention, and resistance. Occupations, interventions, and resistance movements are key forces in this global landscape. They define the relationships between nations and peoples, often leading to significant social and political changes. An occupation occurs when one power, often a nation or empire, exerts military and political control over the territory of another. This can lead to long-term changes in the occupied region's culture, economy, and governance. Think of the Roman Empire's control over much of Europe, or the British Empire's vast colonial holdings. These empires reshaped the world, leaving lasting legacies that are still evident today. An intervention can be more subtle, involving economic pressure, political manipulation, or covert operations. These actions are often designed to influence a nation's policies or leadership without direct military involvement. The goal is often to influence a nation's internal affairs without outright military conquest. Such interventions can be just as impactful as occupations, altering the course of a nation's history. Think of the CIA-backed coups in Latin America during the Cold War. These covert operations aim to install favorable governments and suppress opposition, often leading to decades of instability. Finally, resistance arises when people challenge these imposed structures of power. Resistance can take many forms, from organized movements to spontaneous acts of defiance. This can range from peaceful protests and civil disobedience to armed uprisings. Each form of resistance reflects the unique circumstances and aspirations of the people involved. Understanding these interconnected forces is crucial to understanding the world we live in. By studying occupations, interventions, and resistance, we gain insight into the ongoing struggles that shape our global society. History is filled with empires that have risen and fallen, leaving lasting impacts on the world. These empires, through their conquests and expansions, have shaped the political, cultural, and economic landscapes of entire continents. The Roman Empire, with its vast infrastructure and legal system, shaped the development of Europe for centuries. Its roads, aqueducts, and legal principles laid the foundation for modern Western civilization. The Mongol Empire, under Genghis Khan, connected East and West through trade and cultural exchange. The Silk Road flourished under their rule, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures between distant lands. But these empires, built on conquest, also left behind legacies of oppression and exploitation. Indigenous populations were often subjugated, their cultures suppressed, and their resources extracted for the benefit of the conquerors. The British Empire, one of the largest in history, stretched across the globe, controlling vast territories in Africa, Asia, and the Americas. Its influence can still be seen in the legal systems, languages, and infrastructures of many former colonies. While often touted for its contributions to law and governance, the British Empire extracted immense wealth from its colonies, leaving behind economic and social disparities that persist to this day. The legacy of colonialism is complex, with both positive and negative aspects. Understanding the historical context of empires is essential to comprehending the complexities of the modern world. By studying these empires, we gain insights into the forces that have shaped our current global landscape and the ongoing impact of historical events on contemporary society. While the era of traditional empires may be over, the pursuit of power and influence continues. In today's interconnected world, the methods may have evolved, but the underlying motivations remain strikingly similar. Powerful nations still intervene in the affairs of others, using economic, political, and military means to achieve their objectives. These interventions are often framed as efforts to promote stability, democracy, or economic development, but the true intentions can be far more complex and self-serving. The United States, often seen as the world's sole superpower, has a long history of intervention, from the Vietnam War to the invasion of Iraq in 2003. Each of these actions has left a lasting impact, not only on the countries directly involved, but also on global geopolitics. These interventions, justified in the name of national security or humanitarian aid, often have devastating consequences. The human cost is immense, with countless lives lost, communities destroyed, and generations affected by the trauma of war. The war in Iraq, for example, destabilized the entire region, leading to the rise of extremist groups like ISIS. The power vacuum created by the conflict allowed these groups to gain a foothold, resulting in further violence and instability. Similarly, the ongoing conflict in Syria, fueled by international actors, has resulted in a humanitarian catastrophe of immense proportions. Millions have been displaced, and the country remains in a state of turmoil, with no clear end in sight. The legacies of these interventions serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of geopolitical gamesmanship. They highlight the need for more thoughtful and compassionate approaches to international relations, ones that prioritize human well-being over strategic advantage. Wherever there is oppression, there is resistance. Throughout history, people have risen up to challenge unjust systems and fight for their freedom and autonomy. The Haitian Revolution, a slave revolt that overthrew French colonial rule, stands as a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of collective action. The Indian independence movement, led by Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent resistance, demonstrated the effectiveness of peaceful protest in dismantling colonial structures. These historical examples illustrate the courage and determination of those who dare to challenge the status quo and fight for a more just world. Section 5. The power of the people, from Gandhi to Standing Rock. The spirit of resistance continues to thrive in the 21st century. From the Arab Spring uprisings that toppled dictators to the Black Lives Matter movement demanding racial justice, people are raising their voices against injustice and demanding change. The Standing Rock protests, where indigenous communities and allies came together to oppose the Dakota Access Pipeline, highlighted the growing movement for environmental justice and indigenous rights. These movements, often led by grassroots organizations and fueled by social media, demonstrate the power of collective action in holding the powerful accountable. They remind us that ordinary people, united by a common cause, can make a difference in shaping the future. Section 6. The digital battlefield: information control in the 21st century. In today's interconnected world, information has become a powerful weapon. Governments and corporations alike seek to control the narrative, shaping public opinion and influencing behavior. Propaganda, misinformation, and censorship are used to suppress dissent and maintain the status quo. Social media, while providing a platform for activism and mobilization, is also vulnerable to manipulation. The rise of fake news and the spread of disinformation have eroded trust in traditional media and created a climate of uncertainty and polarization. It is more important than ever to be critical consumers of information, to question the narratives presented to us and to seek out diverse perspectives. Section 7. Brooke Y.B. and the conversation amplifying marginalized voices. In this complex and challenging landscape, it is crucial to amplify the voices of those who are often marginalized and silenced. Artists, activists, and intellectuals play a vital role in challenging dominant narratives and sparking critical conversations. Brooke Y.B., with his platform and his commitment to social justice, has the power to bring attention to important issues and inspire others to action. By engaging in dialogue, sharing stories, and challenging conventional wisdom, we can create spaces for understanding and empathy. It is through these conversations that we can begin to dismantle systems of oppression and build a more just and equitable world. Section 8. Making the future: the individual's role in a complex world. In a world often defined by forces beyond our control, it can be easy to feel powerless, but the truth is that each of us has a role to play in shaping the future. By educating ourselves about the issues that matter, engaging in critical thinking and taking action in our own communities, we can contribute to positive change. Whether it's supporting organizations working for social justice, advocating for policy changes, or simply having difficult conversations with friends and family, every action counts. The future is not predetermined. It is something we create together through our choices and our actions. Section 9. A call to action, education, engagement and empowerment. The challenges we face as a global community are complex and interconnected, but by embracing the principles of education, engagement and empowerment, we can create a more just and sustainable future. Education empowers us with the knowledge and critical thinking skills necessary to understand the world around us. Engagement encourages us to participate in the democratic process, to hold our leaders accountable and to demand change. And empowerment reminds us that we are not passive bystanders. We have the power to shape our own destinies and create a better world for ourselves and for generations to come.